All right, guys, so it is Wednesday morning for reading today. Please read the passage Ice Chunks and answer the questions. For the writing prompts, you again, just like yesterday and the day before, you can choose a new prompt today to do a quick write on, or you can add to a previous writing. That is completely up to you and how you feel as a writer. Then for math, we are going to review equivalent fractions, which is pretty recent for us. So I will go over the process for that with you. Then 20 minutes of physical activity, iReady Math if you're able, and then explore those links that I post on Google Classroom. There is also today the check-in. So the Google check-in, which I will post for you. And if you're able to practice your math facts, great. And then silent reading, if you can. Say if you can't access iReady, silent reading is great. Math facts practice, anything that keeps you learning. But obviously, you and your families know what is best. So just do what you can, because I'm mostly worried about your health and just that you're continuing to learn and keep your brains moving. And I miss you guys, and I've just been thinking about you all a lot more recently since we got the news that we are extending distance learning. So if you have been wondering how I've been feeling, just been missing you guys a lot and just missing our classroom family. So I just miss you guys. So gonna turn to the equivalent fractions page. And here it is right here. So for equivalent fractions, you are finding them by multiplying the numerator and denominator by the same number. So when you have 1/3 and it becomes 2/6, it's simply because you multiplied the top and bottom by 2. So you can find a common denominator by using any number. So if you wanted to use, like over here, they used 3 as the example. 1 times 3 is 3/9, and then 3 times 3 is 9. That shows you that those are equivalent fractions. And then 1/3 to 4/12 is multiplied by 4 to get 4/12. And we touched on that and we worked on that, and it seemed pretty to be working out pretty well for you, but I just kind of wanted to show you how to do a couple of them. And again, you can choose whichever number makes sense for you. So with 2/3, you could pick 2, you could pick 3, you could pick 4. I'm going to pick 3 for this one just because I like 3s. So 2 times 3 is 6, and then 3 times 3 is 9. So this shows you that 2/3 is equivalent to 6/9. And I'm going to show you that with some of our blocks that we used. So I actually don't have thirds in this one. Did my thirds get taken? I think Sophia took my thirds, so I'll use a different one. She's been doing fractions too in the 3rd grade. Here, we'll look over at 1/6. So 1/6, and we'll multiply that by 2, top and bottom. 1 times 2 is 2. 6 times 2 is 12. And I'm going to show you 6 and 12s. So if I'm doing 1/6, that in my 6, this is what they look like. I've got 1 right here, my 1/6, and then I have my 12ths right here. And it says that I will need 2 12ths to show it that they're equivalent. And there you go. 1/6 is equivalent to 2 12ths. It's because the larger the denominator, the smaller the piece of the fraction. And I'm sorry that I didn't have those thirds. I'm going to have to track her down and get those back from her. So continue to do that from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then down here, wants you to fill in the missing numerators to make the fractions below equivalent. So we have our first fraction here, 2/5, and then the equivalent fraction, it tells us, has a denominator of 20. So because I know the denominator, I have to figure out how I got from 5ths to 20ths. And I think 5 times, 4. So 5 times 4 gives me 20. And because our rule is due to the top, what you do to the bottom. And vice versa. So whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top, and whatever you do to the top, you do to the bottom. So we've done it to the bottom, and I'll just do like a thing like that. So, and we flip-flop it. 5 times 4 is 20, so that means we have to multiply 2 by 4 as well. 2 times 4 is 8, so the equivalent fraction to 2/5 is 8/20. So hopefully that is kind of a refresher, makes a little sense. And then on the next page is equivalent fractions continued. So this one shows that 1/3 is shaded, and here's our fraction, 1/3. And so that works with this one right here. So it says write 5 equivalent fractions to 1/3 based on the pictures below. And so we have given you the models here to fill in. And for this one, since when we look at these two right here, this is the same similar shape as the top one. So then if I shaded in this entire one right here, which I'll make it a little darker for you, shaded in this entire one to show 1/3, that means I would shade in this entire piece, but I'm working with 6. So that means 1/3 is equivalent to 2/6. And you can also check that by multiplying the bottom by 2 to get 6, and then multiplying the top to get 6. So if you have any questions, please let me know. And just please don't stress out about the work. We are going to look at it and kind of assign a grade, but I don't want anybody to freak out that they're going to fail 4th grade, because you're absolutely not going to. This is very interesting circumstances, and we just want to see where you're struggling still so that we can be prepared to either review that a little more, or just make sure that when we return next year, your next year's teachers kind of understand where they're going to have to review a little bit with you. Anyway, wish you guys have a great day.